everyone. This is Mary Beth McAndrews from Dread Central, and I'm here today with Mattie Do, the director of the upcoming film, The Long Walk. And I'm so excited to be talking with you today.
I'm happy to be back on Dread Central. It's like every time I make a film, I want to be on Dread Central. I want to be on Fangoria. They're the mainstays, right, of genre that you want to be on. And it's just so much fun to be a part of the Dread Central family, you know?
Oh, we're so glad to have you because your work is incredible. And so your latest film, The Long Walk, is coming out. And so for our viewers who are not familiar, could you just give them a quick synopsis of what the film is about?
Time travel serial killer ghost film in Laos.
Hell yeah, there it is.
That's basically what it is. But like artistic.
And it is so good. So I wanted to hear more about kind of your influences in writing this film, because it's an incredible mix of genre. It's like sci-fi and horror, and it is just a really awesome mix of all of these different genres. So I wanted to hear more about why you wanted to write this film and where the inspiration for it came from.
I mean, honestly, like the whole mixing of genre thing was not really a thing for me, because if anyone's seen my other works, Chanthaly and Dearest Sister, they're really difficult to categorize. I mean, you can say, oh, they're ghost films, but they're not typical either. And the reason for that, I think, is because I didn't come from a film background and I didn't know much about film before I became a filmmaker. And so I didn't understand that most films typically adhere to one kind of categorization or one kind of classification or genre, right? And I'm very lucky. I'm married to my husband, my screenwriter, so he'll write whatever the fuck I want him to write. So I happen to throw out an idea that happens to have all of these elements. He's game and he goes for it. And both of us are really adamant about we're going to make a movie. We should make a movie that is unique, and we should make a movie that hasn't really been done before, because honestly, since I wasn't really a big film buff, the idea of just remaking something that was already probably awesome, that's probably better than any one of us could have done before or after, it's just not appealing to me. It's what's the point of it? What's the purpose of that? So I was like, if I'm going to make a movie, it has to stand alone, and it has to be memorable, you know? I like to tell people that I hope that my work is indelible. And this film came to be in two different ways, mainly. The first way was, I'm Asian. And I'm Asian from one of the poor countries. I'm not a fancy Asian, there's a fancy Asians that do this, not one of those. Then there's Asians that have tea ceremonies and beautiful kimonos. I'm not one of those. And then I'm not a martial arts Asian. I'm the Asian no one wants to talk about, and these Asians like us jungle Asians, when we make films,
sorry.
I'm sorry, we're jungle Asians. When we jungle Asians make a film, everybody wants poverty porn. Everybody wants a sad, toothless brown person wearing one flip-flop who is dying of a venereal disease because they had to sell themselves just to buy a goddamn potato to boil to eat. And then while they're eating that last potato, their drug-addicted spouse or something kills them for the potato, and then goes outside and stares at the leaves rustling under a sunbeam for at least 30 minutes of the film, just staring
I'm dying.
You know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about. It's look, their lives are always full of misery. No one in these countries is allowed to experience anything other than abject poverty and sadness.
Yes.
There's no such
But they're really mystic, and they know more than they have some understanding of the world that us white people don't, because they're mystic Asians suffering in abject poverty. It's awards, all the awards for these films. And when I made Dearest Sister, which was a love story to Vientiane, our capital city, and it showed super poor people, servant class people, middle class people, and ultra filthy, disgusting rich people. People told me I didn't make an authentic Lao film. There were No, I'm not fucking with you. Like there were literally fancy white people who came and told me like, why wouldn't you make a more authentic Lao film about your country? And I'm just like, bitch, please, like, because you've been to my country.
Have you been here? Like, do you live here? Like, do you know anything
do
about like Laos? Like,
are you living in my house rent free and I don't even know it? Like, you speak my language? Like, what? You know? And there's so many of these expert types that like, I don't know, they just feel like they're the guardians of our culture or something. And as much as that pissed me off, I started thinking about these like amazing films where it's the ugliest wide shot of two people sitting there frozen, not moving, looking at leaves, and maybe muttering something about authentic food, you know, for like 10 minutes. And I said to Chris, it's like, what if we gave them their poverty porn? Like, what if we gave them what they wanted? We'll give them their authenticity. Let's give them, you know, old man living in the hut house that they want on dirt road. But, you know, it's going to be a fucking science fiction, time travel, serial killer ghost film. Like, fuck these people. That was how it first started.
I love it. Spite. I love when spite is the fuel for the fire.
Oh, I'm so spiteful. Like,
and it's incredible because you made an incredibly beautiful movie that's like, look, yeah, poverty, but like in the way that you didn't expect. And also, look, films from Laos can be horror, can be time travel.
Why not?
You're one of the.
Like, who says the Lao film has to always be one thing, right? Like, why can't I make a science fiction film? Like,
well, exactly.
I can do that.
When
you're a talking dog film,
because you're one of the only genre filmmakers making like Laotian Lao films. Lao.
There's another young boy trying to make genre right now, and I think he's working on his edit. But I'm the only one who's so far made genre films, and I'm the only woman making feature films in the country. So like, I'm not gonna have a bunch of dudes, especially non-Lao dudes, telling me what kind of film I'm supposed to be making. Right? But the film ended up taking a really dark turn because while my husband and I were writing the film, it was a very different film before. Our dog passed away and we had to euthanize our dog. And if anyone's ever had a pet, the trauma that you go through when you have to euthanize an animal that can't tell you if it's time to go or not, or if it's in pain or not, is quite unbearable. And I think it really affected our story. And that's where a lot of the elements of the guilt and the regret and the pain of the loss that the old man deals with comes from in the script. And when we lost my dog, I started to really think about how when we lost my mother, she had the strength to tell us to not keep her around, to not do treatment that would prolong her life painfully and unnecessarily, and to not hook her to machines. And so I was facing these two things when I was in my 20s, my mother making this decision to just go home and die under hospice care with all of us there. And then my dog, who could not make any choices and who could not voice his opinion and his desires. And we had to make the choice to put him down. And these two things kind of collided into the story that was at first a horrible joke and became this.
I'm so sorry. Those are both not fun experiences by any stretch of imagination.
And the film is not a fun film either, really, if you think about it. You know?
Yeah,
it's beautiful, but it's not fun.
It's not fun, but it's great.
Thank you.
And you work a lot with your husband on these movies, and so I'm curious what that collaboration is like, especially when you're writing about these personal experiences for you, but also he's I'm assuming has gone through some of these things with you. And so what has that been like to collaborate on these stories together?
It's actually really hard sometimes, because when we watch the movie, we still remember Mango, and Mango was my dog who passed away. And one of the odd things about working with my husband on this is he didn't know my mother. And so the moments that I had imbued in the story that were about my mother and about my mother's passing, he actually feels that way, except he he feels that it's the dog. He feels that it's
Oh,
Mango.
interesting.
Yes.
Okay. Weird.
And I had both. Of course, I felt like the deaths and the losses in the film were both my mother and my dog. But for my husband, it's 100% losing Mango pushed him to be able to write that kind of profound grief that kind of like is ebbing from this film, because this film it just oozes loneliness and guilt and grief. And the scene where the mother passes away, I actually modeled after how my mother passed away.
Wow.
To the point where it felt like I was remaking my mother's passing away, except with different characters in a different setting, in a different location. And that's the reason why that particular scene is a difficult scene to watch. And it's not very beautiful, that scene. It's not very artistic in any way. It's just kind of rough. And there's a reason for that, because when you experience death in person, or witness a death in person, there's just nothing very beautiful about it. And it's hard for me to watch death on screen anymore, because it's so fake. It is so fake. And I had the opportunity to put what I consider a more realistic death that's quite ugly on screen. And it really helped me to face my mother's death as an older person, as somebody who maybe had more distance. And I don't know if that was a good thing or not, but like,
I was gonna say, like, how did I? It's not. There's no easy answer. I'm like, was that cathartic? Did it feel good? Did it feel bad? Like, it's horror, and
I would not say cathartic at all.
Okay.
By the way, I would not say cathartic at all. But
okay,
it like becomes this moment of observation where you can have that distance, and to be in control of the moment. I think it made me feel less helpless, because when I was 25, it was shocking. You feel numb because it's happening. You realize what's going on and you're deeply saddened, but there's a numb stone wall part of me that's like, is this real? There's nothing I can do. I'm like, it's so out of your control. And to be able to orchestrate that death on screen, it was a different feeling. Is all I can say.
Fair. I know we're running out of time, but this is a very pivot, lighthearted question from what we were just talking about. I apologize, but if you were going to program a double feature with The Long Walk, what other film would you pair with it?
Ooh. I mean, there are two films really that I would pair. One I just saw 3 days ago. 3 days ago, my husband showed me this strange film called Le Jeté, and it's like this black and white a film composed entirely of like still images, pretty much. Yeah, it's composed of still images. It's called Le Jeté. I forget who wrote it, but I had been hearing so many comparisons of my film to Le Jeté, and I heard so many references like, oh, you must have been inspired by Le Jeté, you must love Le Jeté. And I was like, what the fuck is Le Jeté? having come from the ballet world, jeté is like a movement that you make in ballet and dance. I was like, or it's the jetty in French. And then my husband was like, Le Jeté actually inspired 12 Monkeys, and he loves 12 Monkeys. And so it is possible that it's like, because 12 Monkeys is one of his favorite films, maybe it did seep into our work because he's a writer. But it would be a very good pairing for my film. And then if not, then Back to the Future, maybe.
Wow, that would be an incredible tonal situation. I love that. Back to the Future in The Long Walk.
You can see it, right?
Yes, I can
see it.
Yes, I love that. Oh, wow. I want to program that double feature now.
Do Le Jeté, Back to the Future, and then The Long Walk.
Oh my. It's the biggest range of tones and kinds of movie you could get. It's amazing.
But very related.
Exactly. Like, it seems not like they're related, but they really are very interconnected. I love that.
Yes. And maybe coherence.
Yeah. Oh.
Yes. I love Coherence.
That movie is incredible. Time travel.
It's incredible.
Bend my brain.
And the main character was a ballerina. So, well, her I don't know if she
Yeah.
was, but like the character was about
Yeah.
it.
Well, Mattie, thank you so much for chatting about your new film with us. It's incredible, and I'm so excited for everyone to see it. It is undefinable, as we said, so I'm very excited for everyone to get to experience it. So thank you so much.
It was good to meet you, Mary Beth.
You too.
Thank you.